From San Diego, California, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony and DiLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Alisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug Hotline at 858-876-5663, or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's show, we're talking about the power that a simple thank you can have on your spouse and those around you.
And as we start this show, here's a quote that really speaks to that says, happiness isn't getting what you want all the time. It's about loving what you have and being grateful for it.
Love it.
And one of those ways to express your gratitude is a simple thank you. And that is what we're going to be talking about in today's show. But first, we start each show with a hug. And a hug is an opportunity for you to hear from someone else in the one family whose marriage has experienced transformation, who's had breakthrough in some area of their relationship. And this hug comes from an email message that we received that starts off by saying, I've been with my husband since I was 15.
Wow.
We've been together for 18 years, married for 13 of those. We've always had a good relationship, but until I started listening to your show a few months ago, I never realized that I was often rejecting him when he was trying to be intimate, especially after we started having children. I started listening at episode 473, Roommate Syndrome. My husband had commented a few times about being roommates, and I was always like, you're crazy. I'm the one home more as he works long hours and a lot falls on me. So I was tired a lot, and our kids got the best of me, and he really didn't. But once I started listening to you guys, I started to realize I needed to give my best to my husband too. Starting to live the intimacy lifestyle really helped us find each other again and renew our relationship and bring us even closer.
Right on.
Even my husband said the other day, I don't know what is happening, but I like what this podcast is doing. Thank you so much for all you guys do.
I love it. And welcome to, oh my goodness, each and every one of you in the One family, and to our new One family members, welcome. We're so honored and blessed to have you here. And I want to just give a real quick shout out because this past weekend, we got to spend time at the Tahoe couples weekend getaway. And to those of you in the One family who came and showed up and we got to do life together up there in Tahoe, truly, truly blessed to have that time with you guys. Thank you.
And that actually is, it is part of our thank you. Right? As we release this show is originally releasing Thanksgiving week. And it's a week that many people choose to express their gratitude. Right? I was just sitting at Starbucks yesterday and I was doing some work and I just happened to look up, and there on the counter, like where the barista puts the coffees and stuff, they had a little chalkboard that says, for whatever you're thankful for, take a leaf or a note card and write it down and we'll add it to, and they had this like garland of thank yous. And I just sat there reading them and I thought, how wonderful that this Starbucks is allowing people to recognize, like allowing complete strangers to share what they're thankful for. And, it's so incredible to me, the power that a thank you has and how much it can create a shift. Because when you start to voice what you're thankful for in your marriage, you start to acknowledge the people in your life. Because a lot of times we'll go through, and I know I've done this with Tony, like we'll just be going through and we're doing our life, and I just take things for granted. And I know it goes both ways, and this isn't just us. This happens in marriages around the world. Sometimes we forget that the little things are really important because they make our lives so much easier.
Yeah. And when you receive that thank you, receive it. Truly receive it, and don't blow it off. Because we're going to share some of ours, and we're going to really encourage you guys to do the same. Not just this week, but heck, as we come to the end of the year, and even as we press into a whole new decade, what does that look like for you? But for the person who is receiving, if your spouse is coming up to you and says, hey, thank you, hot stuff, or thank you, baby doll, or thank you, whatever your nickname may be, for being such an amazing wife, for being the love of my life, for looking as good as you do. It is so easy for us, and Alisa and I in particular as well, we'll do this, that's no problem. That's just what I need to do. It takes a lot to receive it and appreciate it. And I've had to do, even with Alisa at times over the years, when I've said, I thank you for such and such or whatever it may be, and she'll brush it off really quick. And I've had to honestly grab her and look her in the eyes, or maybe even hug her and whisper in her ear and say, no, honey, I need you to receive that. Because I'm not just saying that to anybody else along the road or, out of my everyday life. This is for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, a big part of the reason that we do a show around thankfulness or gratitude or saying thank you the week of Thanksgiving is because y'all are thinking about it. You're thinking about it. It's like I said, it's at Starbucks. It's, we know that there's one family, and they actually have a tablecloth. They shared this with us. They have a tablecloth that they put on their table at Thanksgiving, and every year they add to it what they're thankful for.
Yes.
And the reason that we know about this is because we made it onto the tablecloth this year, you guys. It's pretty exciting. And I know all of our summit partners, or all of our partners, Position of the Month Club partners, are actually going to see that picture because it's going to be in the December position post.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you want to become a Position of the Month Club partner, go to positionofthemonthclub.com. It's the way that we love to just love on those of you who are going, you know what? We're ready to take that next step. We want to go in. We want to be all in and even get just an extra little resource or 2 or 3 each and every month to continue that in our own marriage.
And, it is those little things, right? Like Tony was saying, it's where are you doing community? It's what are those things that you're thankful for? It's what are those things that maybe for the last 9, 10, 11 months or maybe years that you haven't acknowledged with your spouse inside your marriage that this week, maybe you need to sit down and do something about that, right? Because just because you haven't acknowledged it doesn't mean that it's too late to acknowledge it. And throughout this show, we're going to be sharing ours. We kind of like to do it like a sort of back and forth. He said, she said, and we do that to really kind of jumpstart your own creative juices. And if there's stuff that we bring up that you're like, oh, well, that's in our marriage too. Don't be afraid to borrow what we said and just customize it to you and your situation, because that's really that's the power of this show, right? To be able to be a catalyst in your marriage.
Yeah, and I will say, no matter where you are in your life, there's one thing I love about the month of November for us, and we've been doing this for many, many years. It really makes me stop and look around and see what I'm grateful for and what I'm thankful for, because I tend not to do that year in, year out, or even like month in and month out. I don't. I see the blessings around me all the time. I am thankful for a lot. And it is this month, though, that it really begins to help me just shift my mind to that gratitude, to that thankfulness. And so I'm going to start. And first and foremost, I just want to thank Jesus Christ. And really, it's just been such a blessing this year to be in the Word and growing there for me personally. It's been a journey. It's not something that I would say I'm super strong at. My spiritual intimacy, if I look at all my intimacies, is the one that tends to be at the bottom side of my intimacies and where I focus. And this year's just been one of those years where I've really just pressed in. And I've read 3 times through the red letters of Jesus. And that's all I've done. Reading the red letters of Jesus and just what does that look like? What is he saying? And taking that and using it in my own life.
And for those of you that have never heard that expression before, the red letters of Jesus, throughout the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And it even goes into Acts and even other parts, even into Revelation, he's speaking. So what some translations will do, and even some publishers of the Bible will do, is actually take whatever Jesus says and put those statements in red. And so that's why they call it the red letters of Jesus, just to give some context for that. For me, the first one is our marriage has seen a lot of growth this year. Yeah. There's been a lot of stretch. There's been a lot of faith steps. And in that, we've had to have some really tough conversations. I specifically remember one walk and talk on the beach when we were talking about what one was going to become and what that was going to look like, and Tony's other business. And I remember just stopping him on the beach and saying, hey, gosh, this gets emotional because we're right on the cusp of that. But I said, you know what? In order for one to grow, you may have to let go of this other business. And that's a scary thing because you guys, this other business has been a source of provision for our family for 16 years. And so to not only be able to voice that to Tony and have the courage to voice that, because obviously that's part of my financial security too, but also for Tony to be able to stop and receive that in that moment and not be like, lady, you're crazy, or that's ridiculous, or we can't do it. But he was at a place where
internally I was saying that. I may not have said it out loud, but internally I was in turmoil over that statement. And what does that look like?
And yet I'm grateful, and I need to thank you for being willing to take that step of faith, for believing in what one has become and is becoming, that we can go after our dreams together.
Yeah.
And so really it's a thank you for being a visionary, for being someone that will go after his dreams, even if it's terrifying. And so that is really what I need to thank you for being willing to listen. And you guys know sometimes he's not so willing to listen. So I definitely do highlight the times that he is.
And as you all noticed, I didn't interrupt. I didn't say anything in that moment. I received that and I love it. And I thank you for that, because I do remember that walk and just having to let go of the boat. Got to start walking. I'm thankful for our walk and talks. And from early morning ones to afternoon ones to sunset ones, I'm thankful that we live in an area that you and I can go out to the beach, hold hands, when we're in town at least once a week, and just hear the waves crash in, and sometimes not saying anything at all, and sometimes talking about everything and everything that we need to. So I'm thankful for those moments of just being able to experience nature and to be there with you.
And, taking that idea of conversation one step farther, we have some really special moments with the kids and the laughter around the tables and just, I'm grateful that we have cultivated an experience within our family where, guys, we have, 2 athletes in our house, kids that are active. We're active. We're not sitting down to family dinner every single night of the week. Pure transparency. DiLorenzos do not do that every night of the week. But
we did a whole episode called "What's for Dinner." We shared that. We share that.
But when we do, and when we just have that time, there's no phones we don't allow phones at the table most of the time. And the kids are just engaged with one another, and just seeing, the laughter that comes, and what could be like a 10-minute dinner, suddenly, there's like 45 minutes that have gone by, and we're just laughing and having fun with each other and just talking through that. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that we have that dynamic in our family and with our kids, and that it's okay for us to joke with them and with each other, and that we continue to foster that, especially as we get ready to launch one in, a year and a half.
What?
I'm
like launch one where?
No. I'm sorry. Launch a child into his next season.
Gotcha.
That's not launch one. Launch
gotcha.
One child.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm thankful for sex during lunch break.
Hello.
There's nothing better than when you and I are fully awake, lights on, sun shining, nobody in the house, and able to just have that time together and just let loose. So I am always thankful for sex during lunch, especially when nobody's here.
I just have to chuckle because you said lights on and daylight, and I'm like, wow, that's a total waste of electricity.
Well, maybe not lights on, but
daylight.
Yes, it's just there's light. We're not in the dark making love.
Absolutely, and I actually had your ability to give me an orgasm as one of the things that I am thankful for.
There you go.
And that I do thank you for, because that hasn't always been the case in our marriage. There were many years that I didn't orgasm, and partly that was mental. For sure. Partly that was relational in our emotional connection, and what that looked like, and what we were working through, whether it was working through pornography, whether it was working through the loss of our child, whatever it was, that like there was stuff that we were working through. And as we've gotten emotionally and relationally healthy, that has shifted. So more times than not, I am. And I'm grateful that that's something that matters to you. And I'm grateful that you've, through our communication and whatnot, you've figured out what works for me, and that we have the ability to talk about sex and sexual intimacy in a way that it is just so commonplace and doesn't have a lot of like emotional weight to it anymore like it used to.
Yeah.
And if that, just as a side note, if that's not you, I want to encourage you that it can be, that it's a process. We were, like Tony said, we were at this Tahoe couples getaway, and this older woman came up to us and she's like, wow, you guys just like, you have this ability to just kind of just talk about sex. And I said, well, honestly, we've been doing it for like the last 11 years. And she just kind of looked at me and I said, whatever you practice, you get better at.
That's right.
And so if the ability to talk about sex is the ability to, go through the 19 questions or whatever it is, you don't have that right now. That's all it is. That's just a right now. That's not a, we won't ever. Because if Tony and I can do it, and let me tell you guys, 12 years ago, we would have been the most likely candidates to be talking about sex on a regular basis. And here we are. And that is something that I'm so thankful for.
Yeah. And I want to just share with that too is, that didn't happen for the first 11 years of our marriage. That wouldn't have been a thankful. So you guys have the ability to get there. It may take a little longer or it may go quick. It just depends on where you guys are, where your heart's at, where your mind's at together, and walking that path together and being open, honest, and transparent along the way. One of the things I had written down here for being thankful is that we've been blessed over this year to open our house to folks who needed a place to stay. And just this past week, we had 2 amazing women here who were hanging out from Henderson, North Carolina, and they are just amazing. We love their parents, and they were out here to just learn, to experience what's happening here at C3 San Diego through one of our dear friends. And so just to have a home where we can open up and you and I are okay opening it up to folks. And you talked about those dinner times. Well, we had a couple of dinners and just sitting down. And so I truly, it's not something that we would have done years ago.
Oh, we were so closed off years ago, you guys. Oh my gosh. Like I didn't want anybody in my house.
No.
Ever.
And Alisa has been that way. And I come again from that Italian background where I remember we would have people over a lot or we would stay at other people's homes. And so for me, I'm thankful that we have a home that can do that. And I'm thankful that you've been able to see the joy in doing that as well.
Absolutely. And it's that whole idea of stepping out and doing something that you're maybe not so comfortable with, but there's so much fruit on the other side of that. And one of the things as I was even, preparing for the show that it hit me, and this is something that did happen at the Tahoe couples getaway, was that, I'm thankful for, how did I put it? I said swing dancing and hot tubs in the cold. And
Alisa got
hello
in a hot tub. It was 45 degrees or 46 degrees outside, and Alisa actually made it outside and into a hot tub. So for those of you who know Alisa and have listened for a very long time, Alisa does not like cold. So that was a true blessing to have her do that.
And then if you've also been listening for a while, you may have heard Tony say routinely that he would love to do dance lessons. And so one of the activities that Luke and Sarah had put together for everybody up there, the getaway up in Tahoe, was they had done a swing dance lesson on Saturday night. And so back up. Part of my struggle with doing dance lessons is I like to lead. It's just a control thing. And I'm not even necessarily leading. I just don't like to follow, I guess is probably the best way to put it. And so we did this dance lesson. We had fun.
I think, hold on. You need to take what you just said. I like to take the lead when it comes to dancing. You need to take that same mentality and that same vigor to your initiating sex. I'm going to just say that.
Got called out.
I'm just going to say that right now because you got all excited.
This is a thankful show. Do not start bringing this down.
I'm thankful for what you just said completely. I'm just saying take that same passion into initiating sex. And then next year I can come back and I can say, wow, I am so thankful for the vigor and the excitement Alisa brings to initiating sex because she wants to take control. Boom. That's you.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. I'm just like my cheeks are hurting because I'm like smiling and laughing so much, and as we move towards the end of the show, I do want to thank this week's sponsor and just acknowledge that. And that is the One Marriage Conference. And, part of part of why this is even the sponsor this week is because we're thankful for all of you. We're thankful for all of you that make the decision to be a part of the community, to invest in your marriages, because those of you in the One Family, and pretty much if you're listening, we consider you to be part of the One Family. You understand that community matters. You understand whether you're forwarding, a quote on Instagram or you're sending the podcast to your friends and saying, you got to listen to this. You know that family matters and you matter to us. You're one of the most important things that we're grateful for. And strong families, they spend time together. And that's what happens at the One Conference. We spend time together. We're going to bring you the best of what we do, strategies, tips, practical application. I'm going to wrap it up with fun and laughter, and you're going to walk away with tools to make your marriage even more extraordinary. We're filling up the 2020 calendar with dates, and the 2020 theme is Dream Again, and we can't wait to be with all of you and share what we have planned for those conferences. So be in the know of all things live and in person. Go to oneliveevents.com. Don't miss out on spending time with the family. Go to oneliveevents.com. And so, we've been having fun, and I think we still have a couple more to share. But this week, even as we're wrapping up the show, I want you to be thinking about, what do you need to say thank you for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What have you not said to your spouse? Because maybe as you've been listening, you're like, oh, I didn't know I could say thank you for that. Like there may be some of you that have never said to your spouse, thank you for being able to give me an orgasm. It could be something that makes it onto the list this week. Thank you for the conversations that we have. That would be, an incredible way to even get another conversation started. But what do you need to, maybe this is the week that you write a love letter.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wait for Valentine's Day. In fact, I would encourage you not to wait for Valentine's Day to write a love letter or to express the romance to your spouse.
Yeah. And we have 2 awesome resources, and we'll make sure to put links here into the episode notes. But one of them is how to write a romantic love letter that will make your spouse's heart sing. It's simple. It's easy. It's just by putting pen to paper or, pencil to paper or whatever you want to do. And it's simple to just go, oh, okay, this, and this. And then our friends, Dustin and Bethany over at Engaged Marriage, they have this great resource called Romance the Right Way. And it's about, again, how do you structure that romance, that romantic letter or even note to your spouse? And you can check that one out at oneextraordinarymarriage.com/RWW. Both of those are going to be here in the episode notes with links to it. Here's the thing. This week, make sure you just take some time to pull out a notepad. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I really love the most about this month for myself, is because I'm very intentional. And we've been doing this with the Summit partners in the Position of the Month Club in our Facebook group every day. We're just posting. It's your grateful check-in. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for today? Because sometimes we'll just go through life and we'll forget things. And Alisa and I can raise our hands to that as well. For us, this month is one of those months, though, where we just really hunker down to make sure that we realize, we count our blessings. We look at each other. We let each other know right now, this is how we do it. We'll probably write each other a note or a letter by the end of the month. But for us, a lot of it is spoken. And for you, it may be written. It may be spoken. It may be, a text message, whatever that is for you guys. Or for you to share with your spouse, make sure you do it.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to just be the dynamic between the two of you. There may be other influences around your marriage that you also need to appreciate. Who are those people that are walking alongside your marriage? Who are those mentors in your life? Who are those people that are pouring in that this week or this month you need to acknowledge for what they've done for the two of you? It is no small thing that the One Family exists. Because I will tell you that Tony and I get just as much out of all of you as we give. Because of the hugs, because of who you are, because when we go to Tahoe, we get to meet 10 or 12 different couples that are all part of the One Family that were there, that we got to have lunch with and just enjoy. Right? That is something, there is no, thank you is not enough for what each and every one of you are and what you do for our lives.
Yeah. So, all right, go out this week. Write a thank you, write a love note, say something to your spouse. Don't let this week go by without thanking them for something in some way, shape, or form. Vocalize it, write it down, send them a text, send them a video, whatever that is that impacts them and is easiest for you. Let me just put that straight up. Make sure it's something that you can do, and you can do it and express it to them. Love you guys. Have a fantastic week. We're excited for you as you go out there and say thank you to your loved one and to those that have impacted your life. Love you guys. Have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next week. Love you guys.